The following program, NORML Show Live, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate for the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate or encourage any illegal activity and advise all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws by visiting norml.org, NORML.org. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers of NORML Show Live are their own and do not necessarily reflect the philosophy and policies of NORML. Listener discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think we need to think and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws presents NORML Show Live, Marijuana Nation. Now, here's your host, NORML's Outreach Coordinator, Radical Russ Belville.
Good evening, tokers and tokettes. It is Monday, February 28th, 2011, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Thanks for joining us on this last day of February and the start of what's going to be an incredible week here at NORML Show Live. We're glad we could have you here. Got a jam-packed show for today, so we better get right into it by starting with an introduction of our own Ganja John.
What's up, Russ?
Oh, man.
By the way, you said good evening at the beginning.
It is good evening because I purposely did this because I know I'll have listeners from South Africa today.
Oh.
And for them, it shall be evening. Yeah, that's my excuse. Because we are interviewing Chris J. from NORML South Africa at the bottom of the show today. Very sad story coming out of South Africa. One of our international chapters there, NORML South Africa, has an activist named Peter Freeman. Or no, I'm sorry, It's a long name. Peter Charles Freeman Miller. I think it's like 4 names. But he's been missing since Wednesday, and they suspect foul play. So we will have him on to talk about that live from South Africa today via Skype. Also on today's show at past, we'll speak with Josh Schimberg from Texas NORML, a little bit closer to the studio. And Josh is going to be telling us about the medical marijuana hearings that are taking place in the Texas Capitol tomorrow. So we want to get everyone ready for that. And we'll be also bringing you live web coverage of the stream from those hearings for tomorrow. So we'll talk to Josh Schimberg about that. Also today is Roots Monday for our Daily Toker Tunes, which involves going to our virtual studio in Grastoria, Oregon, and our own Cannabis Carrie. Carrie, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, we got some great music coming up today. And of course, before we get to that Roots Monday music, you've got our hemp headlines for us. So what's in the news?
We do. Well, you're going to start us off with a story that we have some video to. Looking forward to that. Also, we've got a story out of Seattle about a farmer's market that's getting a ton of media play this week. I bet we'll see it all over the papers. And also, we're going to go to San Jose, where unlawful doesn't mean untaxable.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. Plus, in hour 2, we've got another video, a music parody video. Oh, not a parody, but just a funny song from the legendary Ray Stevens. I didn't even know Ray Stevens was still alive, to tell you the truth, but I'm happy he's got a new video out. And since I'll be flying all over the country, it kind of hit me at home. It's called "The Skies Ain't So Friendly No More," and we'll be showing that in hour 2. Also, plenty more stories in hour 2. There's so much news that we got from the weekend that we got to get covered for you. So join us in hour 2, and we'll talk about that live. We are the voice of the Marijuana Nation. NORML Show Live. We'll be back right after this.
You're listening to NORML Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.
In today's busy world, we're inundated by advertising for all types of pharmaceuticals that come with a laundry list of potential side effects. Shouldn't you have better medical choices? Natural alternatives to pills pushed by Big Pharma? At Alternative Medical Choices, you could choose natural, safe, and effective alternative therapies that are right for your budget without nasty side effects. Cannabis, or marijuana, has been a legal medicine in the Pacific Northwest since 1998. Our doctors will help determine your qualifications for a medical marijuana recommendation in Oregon, no matter where you live. Our massage therapists will ease your aches and stress with soothing hemp seed oil or cannabis-infused massage salves. We also offer acupuncture, Reiki, and other alternative health therapies. Call Alternative Medical Choices in Portland, Oregon at 503-288-5579 or visit our website at www.altmedchoices.com. We specialize in out-of-state recommendations. That's www.altmedchoices.com or call 503-288-5579.
NORML National Conference 2011, Denver, Colorado, April 21st through 23rd.
I'm not a crook.
When President Nixon declared war on marijuana smokers, NORML was founded by a young lawyer named Keith Stroup. And now, in our 40th year, NORML is coming of age as states begin discussing outright marijuana legalization.
Entirely legitimate topic for debate.
Join us in Denver, Colorado, the day after 420 for our 40th annual national conference. You'll learn about marijuana law, cannabis science, and the grassroots activism necessary to end prohibition. Set in the Mile High City, America's cannabis capital. Special guests include medical marijuana pioneer and Harvard emeritus Dr. Lester Grinspoon, U.S. Congressman Jared Polis, and NORML founder Keith Stroup. NORML National Conference 2011, coming of age in Denver, Colorado, April 21st through 23rd. It's the true Rocky Mountain High.
Medical marijuana, industrial hemp, consumer cannabis. It's time for this week's NORML News with Cannabis Carey.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm going to start off the news today, and then we'll turn things over to Cannabis Carey for story 2, because this story is a video report that comes from WXYZ, a news station in Lansing, Michigan, concerning a continuing look at some corrupt cops there, some corrupt drug task force cops there. But this is the latest development, and it's so good, I just have to play the whole thing for you. This is from WXYZ.
The Action News investigators first exposed details of this investigation back in December. Tonight, we're breaking new ground with something even the police don't have. These guys accused of being rogue cops were actually caught on tape during a drug raid. We've got the recording, and it's not flattering for these cops who are now facing criminal charges. You're watching a performance by a rock band called One, Others Not Equal. But this story isn't about heavy metal. It's about allegations of heavy-handed and unprofessional police tactics. The lead singer, Rudy Simpson, says he was a victim of these tactics in a drug raid at his home. It all centers around this man, State Police Lieutenant Luke Davis, who's now facing corruption charges. In June of 2008, the Omni Drug Task Force, headed by Lieutenant Davis, executed a search warrant on Rudy Simpson's Monroe County home. They based the search on an anonymous tip and a marijuana stem they said they found in the garbage. When the cops came in, Rudy's band was practicing in this basement recording studio. What the police didn't know is that the microphones were hot and everything was being recorded. Take a listen.
Hope they're not mixing.
But they were mixing, and two cops take turns singing on the mic, not knowing the whole thing is being recorded.
I love rock and roll. Looking back on the menu.
While those cops were in the basement, Rudy, his friend Jeremy, and members of the band were taken upstairs, where Lieutenant Davis and other task force members were searching the house. They were shocked by the behavior of the police.
Very unprofessional, almost thuggish. I felt violated and almost like if it was a game to them.
Going into kitchen cabinets, eating cookies, and going in the refrigerator, eating stuff out of the refrigerator. It was very unprofessional.
And it wasn't exactly a big drug haul for the cops either.
4 ounces in the bag.
They found a 1/4 ounce of marijuana, 12 small seedlings in a pot they claimed were marijuana, and a half a pain pill that Rudy later produced a prescription for. These guys say the police seemed more interested in Rudy's stuff than they were in the drugs they found.
Basically what I heard them talking about was what equipment, what materialistic stuff could they take out of my house. It seems like, yeah, that they were just trying to figure out what they could come out of here with.
And now, hear it for yourself. Caught on the band's equipment that the cops don't know was recording.
Well, we kicked a bunch of boots, right? Well, where are we at? I mean, that's Luke's fault, not mine. I was just trying to get you paid on. Yeah, when Luke comes down here, he's going to want to take care of everything. Band, he's going to say that quarter ounce, at least quarter ounce there is going to give us a chance to take all this stuff, according to Luke.
Hey, what do you want to take in the basement? Do you want to take the drums and all that? Or no?
The police wound up taking 3 pages worth of stuff from the house, including some of Rudy's personal property, a 52-inch flat-screen TV, a DVD player, 2 computers, a camera, and a bunch of DVDs. Under the law, police are only supposed to confiscate property that was purchased with money earned from drug sales. Rudy admits he was smoking pot, but what evidence did they have that he was selling drugs?
There was none. There was no sales. There was no undercover cops. There was nothing on paper. It was basically anonymous tip, they said.
The Luke Davis corruption charges raise serious questions not only about the conduct of police officers, but also about Michigan's drug forfeiture laws.
This report from a group called the Institute for Justice, Policing for Profit, rates all the states for their forfeiture laws. Michigan gets a D-. In Michigan, in a drug raid, they can take your property just with probable cause. In a lot of states, the burden is a lot higher, proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
What drives a lot of the forfeiture abuse in Michigan is the fact that under state law enforcement is entitled to keep 100% of all the property that they seize.
In Michigan, they can even take your property without charging you with a crime. And I've learned that's what investigators are alleging happened in the Luke Davis case.
Rudy Simpson was charged for the marijuana and a half a pain pill, even though he had a prescription for the pain pill. Simpson had another marijuana charge from 10 years earlier, and he says the prosecutor was playing hardball.
You either take the charge for the half Loracet from the prescription I had, or we're going to hit you as a habitual, and you're looking at prison time for a quarter ounce of weed.
Rudy Simpson says he had no choice. He pled guilty and did some time in a halfway house. He says he decided to come forward and tell his story to Channel 7 after seeing our investigation on Luke Davis back in December. Rudy Simpson claims the Omni Narcotics crew also took $400 in cash and a gold ring that was never even listed on the search warrant return. That allegation was denied by the prosecutor in court records. Scott Lewis, Channel 7 Action News.
Yeah, and folks, this is just the one they managed to catch. This is just the guys that had the big operation going on, and they just happen to have a recording going on. This happens all the time in America, where people's assets are taken by police who are looking to make a profit. And in this case, let me give you a little more details on these cops they're talking about. Lieutenant Luke Davis, Lieutenant Emmanuel Riopel, and Monroe County resident Lawrence Dussault faced dozens of charges. Davis headed the undercover narcotics unit that operated out of a nondescript house in Monroe County. The indictment alleges he and the others sold off drugs and confiscated goods for their own profit. Now, this goes back from 2006 through March 2006 through December of 2008. When they raided Lieutenant Davis's home, they found lots of stolen property as well as Vicodin, OxyContin, steroids, a wall covered with a large quantity of men's and women's jewelry, 30 designer purses, 22 cell phones, computers, televisions, motorcycles, and a golf cart. This kicked off the investigation on him embezzling the stolen property. They also allege that they used this man as a straw buyer at police auctions to falsify receipts to show that the man purchased this property, and then they would sell the property later on and split the profits. So this is going on. This is policing for profit. This is asset forfeiture. I encourage you all to look up the website fear.org. Forfeiture endangers American rights. Fear.org, and learn all about this terrible, terrible injustice in our country.
February might seem a bit early for a farmer's market, particularly in the wet, cold northwest part of the U.S., but in the South Lake Union neighborhood of Seattle, they hosted a cannabis market on Sunday that attracted about 600 medical marijuana patients. It was the first cannabis farmers market in Seattle, and many attendees reported an event like no other at 11 a.m. on a Sunday. About 24 medical marijuana providers brought jars and jars of various strains and spoke of the benefits of some strains over others for relief of assorted ailments. There were edibles like pasta, pizza, cupcakes, and potted plants available for patients to purchase. Some of the strains available were Dark Vader, Kung Fu Goo, White Widow, and the Green Queen. And vendors like the Urban Collective and Delectable Medibles were on hand to answer questions about their products and to give anecdotal information about their wares. The first and at least publicized farmers market was held in Tacoma last year, and proprietor Ken Bell said he looks forward to a day where cannabis is legal and he is taxed for selling it. The market is ideal for patients that live in outlying areas that do not have regular access to some of the providers available in the downtown areas. People attending the market were required to provide identification and a doctor's authorization to acquire any of the cannabis. Market founder Jeremy Miller said that they are planning to bring the market to Seattle twice a month now and to Tacoma and Olympia on the remaining weekends. Miller said that he felt comfortable in Seattle, where voters approved Initiative 75 back in 2003 that made arresting and jailing adults for possessing personal amounts of marijuana the police department's lowest enforcement priority. There were no signs of police yesterday at the event, but police spokesman Sean Whitcomb said in an interview before the publicized event that it just wasn't a big deal. He went on to say that the police priorities are a reflection of the community's priorities.
Well, good news there. And also the other thing in Seattle is you've got that city attorney who has said he will not prosecute personal amount cases anymore. That's just not worth the city's time. So this is a great development, and the turnout of 600 patients is really amazing. I would like to know what the prices were, though, at that farmer's market.
In San Jose, California, the city considers all of their 88 medical marijuana businesses to be unlawful and nuisances. But that isn't stopping city officials from welcoming dispensary owners to City Hall today to talk about a marijuana program that they might be able to make work for them, a marijuana tax. Starting tomorrow, San Jose will impose a 7% tax on marijuana dispensaries, a measure that was passed by popular vote last November. The city, which has emerged as one of the battleground cities in the state's war over commercialized medical cannabis, isn't the first to look toward medical marijuana taxation as a way to alleviate budget stress woes in the downturned economy. Oakland and Berkeley both raised their marijuana sales taxes in November, and state authorities last week made it clear marijuana isn't exempt from as medicine from sales tax. Berkeley has demanded $6.4 million from a dispensary there in taxes alone. San Jose officials are arguing that the taxes must be paid regardless of a business's legal status, and though most local dispensaries already are paying city businesses and California sales taxes, city officials feel that they're just not getting their fair share. Deputy City Manager Deanna Santana was quoted saying, "We believe we're being grossly underpaid." For the city's medical marijuana providers, the whole situation seems surreal. David Hodges, who founded the San Jose Cannabis Buyers Club, said, "It's in the code that you have to tax these businesses, but you don't have to, even when you take their money, say that they're a legitimate business." San Jose is facing a $110 million deficit in their 10th straight year of red ink, so city officials are eager to start collecting the new tax, even though zoning regulations that might allow medical marijuana dispensaries are months from coming to a council vote. So that is why the city has invited medical marijuana providers to today's seminar to City Hall to learn about the new tax. But many of the city's medical marijuana providers say the new San Jose marijuana tax, along with the state's 9.25% sales tax, will push legitimate medical cannabis from safe and secure distributors above current black market prices and those of dispensaries in surrounding cities. The city also received about $13,412 in business taxes from the 88 medical marijuana providers and a total of $70,659 from its 1% share of state sales taxes from the 61 marijuana dispensaries that have sales tax permits. Marijuana providers will be expected to track gross receipts for their taxes beginning Tuesday with their first payment due April 30th. Failure to pay can lead to stiff penalties and even misdemeanor charges.
No, you cannot have a dispensary. Dispensaries are bad, and they're illegal, and we don't want them in San Jose. By God, they're awful. But if you're going to have one, kick down $1 or $2, will you? Good Lord. The hypocrisy around marijuana in this country never ceases to amaze me. But there's actually a lot of precedent for this. You know, we look back to the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937, where you were required to pay taxes on marijuana that was patently illegal. In fact, many United States still have these tax stamp laws in effect at the state level, where if you are caught with, certain quantities of cannabis and you are found not to have paid the tax stamps for those quantities of cannabis, they serve serve you up some charges on evading taxes as well. It's just another way of getting people in trouble. It's really sad, though, the case that's going on here with Berkeley Patients Group, where from 2004 through 2007, they weren't even aware they were supposed to be collecting taxes. And now on a retroactive basis, the Board of Equalization wants to go back and say, wait a minute, you owe us $6.4 million, or however much the amount was, I forget. Very, very unfair, but, kind of goes along with the unfairness we've been dealing with in the marijuana community for years now. All of this can go away, and you can raise taxes on this stuff completely legitimately if you just go ahead and legalize it.
I don't feel like I need a break, but we can take one.
We can take a break. I think we can. It's 20 after. Our friends on the East Coast want to take a break. Danny Danko's in the chat room. Let's break with him.
Okay.
All right, let's smoke one, Danny. We'll be there in a second.
It's 20 after the hour, and we have to take a short break, if you know what I mean. Please support these sponsors who support NORML Show Live.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
This is NORML Show Live.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years. They've got mandatory sentences, and these judges just say, they throw up their hands and say, there's nothing we can do. It's mandatory sentences. We've got to take a look at what we're considering crimes.
When the Reverend Pat Robertson from television's The 700 Club
criminalizing marijuana, criminalizing the possession of a few ounces of pot and that kind of thing. I mean, it's just
makes more sense on the marijuana issue than the president, the Congress, and the Supreme Court.
It's costing us a fortune, and it's ruining young people. The young people go into prisons, they come out, they go in as youths, and they come out as hardened criminals, and it's not a good thing.
You know we're winning. Marijuana and alcohol are the two most popular recreational drugs in America. Marijuana smoking is non-toxic, relatively safe, and has a low risk of dependence. Alcohol drinking is potentially fatal, dangerous to society, and is quite addictive. Marijuana is safer, so why are we driving people to drink? That's the question of the new book, Marijuana is Safer, so why are we driving people to drink? By Paul Armentano, Mason Tvert, and Steve Fox. Visit Amazon.com or ChelseaGreen.com today to order your copy of Marijuana is Safer, or visit MarijuanaIsSafer.com.
It's time for your daily Toker Tunes, the best in 420 friendly music from all genres that uplifts, entertains, and informs the public. Today we bring you tunes for Roots Monday, our celebration of the music that evolved into the popular modern music of today. We pick the best of blues, country, folk, and jazz with a 420 feel and serve it up for you every Monday. Brought to you by Cannabis Carry in Astoria, Oregon, and CannabisFantastic.com. If you'd like to submit your song to be played on NORML Show Live, send it to us at stash@normal.org. Now here's some more great independent marijuana music for today's Daily Toker Tunes.
All right, we go right back up to beautiful Astoria and Cannabis Carry, who's hanging out there. You know, Carrie, they predicted the snowpocalypse, but all we got was just a little dusting. But the rain that we're getting today, if it had been cold, it would have been a snowpocalypse. It's crazy douching out here.
Well, we had great snow here all weekend in Astoria. It's gone today because it did start raining last night after midnight. But this weekend was so much fun. The entire town was covered in snow. We got tons more snow than you guys did.
Yeah.
But we really enjoyed it. It was Fisher Poets gathering, and around midnight, I swear, Russ, there was a town-wide snowball fight in the streets of downtown Astoria. It was so much fun. It was great.
Oh, I can totally see that happening. What a ball. All right. Hey, what do you got for our Daily Toker Tune today?
Well, today starts off a very special week for us here on The Stash and for NORML as we mark 4 decades of working to end prohibition. And, you have some special treats for us due to some cleaning out of some old audio files and whatnot. Well, I am breaking the Roots Monday rules today, and I'm playing some music with ties to some of my old NORML files. Way, way, way back from my very first post on the NORML blog, the first music post I ever did was for this artist, and it's dated from February 18th of 2008, if you can remember all that far back, right? I had no idea what I was doing, and I had to learn what the word PodSafe even was, and I got to email this artist, and he turned out to be a wonderful person who is the real Rasta deal. It was so great, conversing with someone who's really from Jamaica. So his name is Haya Sika. You probably know him.
Oh, yeah.
And that's his name. And he just happened to email me this weekend and sent me one of his brand new songs called Herbal Treatment for us to share at NORML with this message. Greetings, NORML. Here's an herbal treatment for you and the world, the healing of the nations.
Nice.
He's so irie. He has 2 songs that we play here on the Stash rotation, Gimme the Hemp Paper and Light Dat Ting. There's 2 favorites of mine. And I also wanted to read to you from my very first online post. Here it is. Today's music hit comes to us from a righteous Rasta man, Haya Sika. He's the real Jamaican deal, growing up in Westmoreland, Jamaica, a town that also produced Peter Tosh.
The tie-in.
Kismet, stars aligning, whatever. I just want to say congratulations, NORML, for outlasting some of our worst critics and bringing out the best in so many citizens that will not stop fighting until we achieve legalization of this herbal treatment. Here we go.
All right, let's say hiya to Haya Sika.
I don't need it. Nope. Haya Sika said, tell you about the cannabis sativa. Tell you about the cannabis sativa. Tell you about the cannabis sativa. From the creator. From Mother Nature's garden. Good old ganja, California. Some herbal treatment at the night or in the noon or in the morning. From Mother Nature's garden, good old ganja, California. Nothing like some herbal treatment at the night or in the noon or in the morning. Marijuana plants, however besant, beyond its beauty and its divine essence. Use properly, uplift your spiritual presence. Used by the ancestors and the intents. Ship and trade by governmental agents. Wanna hustle for the payments. Medical marijuana doctors use it to treat the patients. Balance the frequency, the wavelengths feature. From Mother Nature's garden, good old ganja, California. Nothing like some herbal treatment in the night or in the noon or in the morning. Feature from Mother Nature's garden, good old ganja, California. Tell you about the herbal treatment feature. Herbs got the power to alleviate the sickness and the ailments. Doctor get the test result in amazement. Where is the tumor, glaucoma, no tracement? It's an effective treatment, y'all. Marijuana couldn't help make food, shoes, garments. Hemp, island protein and good nutrients. Materials, textiles and products of assortment. Be the possible for your full enjoyment. From Mother Nature's garden, good old ganja, California. Nothing like some herbal treatment in the night or in the noon or in the morning. Feature Mother Nature's garden, good old Western California. Nothing like some herbal treatment. Well, more time, I hold a stretch and kick my sneakers on a bill of spliff and outside, give it a spark. Singing and humming, meditation took off. Visions of Haya Sika by span record. The scene she was in night sky and stars. What a beauty, it's so vast. The breeze blow with massage as it pass. It blows so it blows fast as I take another drop from Mother Nature's garden. Good old ganja, California. Just natural, nothing like some herbal treatment in the night or in the noon or in the morning. That's feature Mother Nature's garden. Good old ganja, California.
Nothing like some herbal. You want a copy of that song for your iPod? Check out the Daily Token Tucker Tunes at the Stash blog by surfing to stash.normal.org and choosing Media, and then Tucker Tunes from the main menu.
Starfish Designs, makers of the original Gandalf.
I'm Radical Russ, and when I want to relax, I always have my 17-inch long original Gandalf from Starfish Designs nearby. The hand-blown borosilicate glass is strong and easy to clean, and the design is sleek and sophisticated. Starfish Designs are available from Bend, Oregon at a glass retailer near you. For locations, call 541-788-GLASS. That's 541-788-4527.
High in the Rockies. For the first time ever, High Times is hosting the Medical Cannabis Cup in the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado. Come to the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup. There will be cultivation seminars with High Times editors Danny Danko and Nico Escondido, plus other experts and cannabis celebrities. Attend activism seminars with leaders of the medical marijuana movement, including advice on how to start your own cannabis business. Meet industry leaders in medical cultivation, hydroponics, smokable glassware, hemp products, dispensary supply, cannabis accessories, and more. Plus, Medical Cannabis Cups will be awarded to the best indica, sativas, concentrates, and edibles entered by legally operating medical marijuana dispensaries and growing collectives. And don't forget Saturday night when the Medical Cannabis Cup will host the extravaganza with surprise musical guests. The High Times Medical Cannabis Cup, April 2nd and 3rd, 2011 at Exto in Denver, Colorado. Visit medcancup.com for details. Be part of the growing cannabis industry. Come to the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in Denver.
The effects of marijuana prohibition are felt by all Americans in every walk of life, regardless of race, creed, color, religion, social status, wealth, gender, sexual orientation, or even one's use or non-use of marijuana. As the marijuana smokers lobby, NORML hears the stories of these average Americans and brings them to the attention of our policymakers and our fellow citizens in this segment we call NORML Newsmakers.
All right, welcome back. We are joined on the telephone by Josh Schimberg from Texas NORML. Josh, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back on, Russ. Appreciate the exposure.
Oh, we're glad to give it to the Lone Star State, absolutely, because we're just excited that you have a medical marijuana bill that has been proposed in the Texas legislature, and the news is that you've got a hearing on that tomorrow. Fill us in.
Actually, the hearing tomorrow is on the DCRIM bill.
Oh, that's DCRIM. Okay.
Yeah. So this one, it's House Bill 548. And what it would do, if passed into law, is to lower the penalty for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana to a Class C misdemeanor, which is basically the same thing as a traffic ticket or a parking ticket. Currently, under state law, possession of up to 2 ounces is a Class B misdemeanor, which carries a maximum penalty of 180 days in jail and a $2,000 fine. Probably the most significant thing about House Bill 548, if it passes, is the number of potential arrests that would be stopped in the state of Texas. Because according to the Texas Department of Public Safety numbers from 2009, there were over 77,000 arrests for marijuana possession in this state. And from talking to lawyers, NORML-affiliated lawyers here in Austin, also in DFW and in San Antonio, they tell me that a vast majority of the possession cases that they handle are an ounce or less. And we're talking, they've told me anywhere from 80 to 90% of their possession cases are an ounce or less possession. So if this bill passes, it could potentially prevent 40, 50,000 people in Texas from being arrested in a single year.
Wow, that is great news. So what time is this hearing on DCRIM tomorrow?
It's tomorrow morning. The hearing starts at 10:30 a.m. It's at the Capitol building in room JHR 120. And we're expecting to have a lot of people there at the hearing. We've had a great reception on our action alerts for this bill. I know Paul at National said that the action alert that was set up through National NORML had the most hits on it out of any action alert in the country. I think he said something like 1,300 letters were sent just about this one bill. So we're definitely expecting to have a good turnout there, and there's a lot of good angles that we can hit those committee members with, especially considering that Texas right now is facing a projected $27 billion deficit for this legislative session. So obviously this is something that we are hoping to be able to hit home to a lot of these fiscal conservative lawmakers here in the state.
Definitely. We hope so. We're speaking with Josh Schimberg from Texas NORML, and, with this hearing going on tomorrow, how has this been in the past when you've had hearings in Texas, or have you even had the chance to have hearings in Texas for people to show up to? What's the support been like among the activism community?
Well, it's actually been kind of spotty, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that our legislature only convenes every other year. However, in the past, we have had a lot of good support from activists all around the state, pretty much, on this bill and also on the medical marijuana bill that you mentioned at the beginning. In terms of what's happened with the past hearings, this bill has been introduced in the legislature by the same Representative Harold Dutton out of Houston, every session since I can remember, and it has had hearings pretty much every session. The only problem is it has not made it to the House floor for vote of the full House, and we're hoping to at least get it that part this time. And then also, of course, we would like to see one of our state senators pick it up and introduce similar legislation in the state Senate.
Yes, that would be perfect. Now, as far as people coming out to hearings and getting involved, do you feel there's fear still among Texans, just average Texans, that they don't want to be seen at a hearing because they could lose their job or something like that?
There actually is a lot of that, and I hear from people on a regular basis who say, I want to get involved, but I'm worried about my family, or I want to get involved, but I'm worried about my career. And this goes all the way to people being scared to even call their representative's office.
Yeah.
And, I try to tell people as politely as I can, that's not something that you should really be worried about when you're talking about contacting a person who you elected. Well, maybe you didn't vote for them, but they're elected to represent you. You're their constituent. Their job is to listen to what you have to say regarding changes in laws or bills and things like that. And if they don't hear from you, then they have no way of knowing what your opinion is on a certain issue, and they're never going to give a second thought about what you think on these issues. And, really, I don't know the technicalities of the law, but I believe that it would probably be against the law for representatives to try to tally up lists of people to contact them about specific bills and hand it over to law enforcement. That's not something that happens.
Yeah, I absolutely agree there, Josh, and I'm glad you got that word out to people. Let's get a quick update also on the progress of medical marijuana. We did, I confusingly mistaken. You have two different bills in Texas. It's like maybe the first time I've had to deal with this, but tell us about the medical marijuana situation in Texas.
Sure. Right now, there is a medical marijuana bill that's been introduced. It's House Bill 1491. It was introduced by a Democratic House member, Elliot Meshtap. And again, this is a bill that he has introduced in the past, and it is an affirmative defense medical marijuana bill. And it's not very comprehensive. Well, it's not comprehensive at all right now. Probably the best thing about it is that not only would it provide an affirmative defense to patients who have a doctor's recommendation, it would also explicitly protect those doctors who do recommend marijuana to their patients, or even talk to their patients about the possibility of using marijuana. Currently, doctors in this state just will not talk to the patients on the record about the potential benefits of medical marijuana because they could be reprimanded for doing that. This bill, House Bill 1491, if it is passed into law, it would protect those doctors from any punitive action taken against them for talking to patients about this. And, that's really a huge step in the right direction when you get down to the issue of patient and doctor confidentiality, doctors should be free to speak with their patients about anything that could potentially help them with a medical condition. And House Bill 1491 would do that in Texas. Now, in the past, like I said, this bill has been introduced before. It's been introduced by the same representative, Representative Ishak, and unfortunately, it has had a very cold reception by the representatives who have been sitting on committees that have been assigned to. We've had open hostility by committee chairs in the past to this bill, to the point where they said in public to people that they would never give the bill a hearing in their committee. Now, that being said, this year we have a little bit of good news on it in that Representative Ishak himself has been given the assignment of vice chair on the House Committee on Public Health, and that is the committee that this bill is most likely to land in.
Oh, good.
We haven't heard for sure if it's been assigned to that committee yet. I'm waiting, hour by hour pretty much to see exactly where this bill lands. But if it lands in the committee where Representative Ishak is the vice chair, that is a very good thing for the prospects of it, at least in this committee.
Wow, that's really good news. But how about the people's support for this? I mean, we've told stories of affirmative defense before, and for those of you who are new to the show, it just means the kind of a law where you can still get busted for being a patient and smoking weed, but when you go to the court, you can say, "Hey, judge, I was sick," and they can then dismiss it or give you a fine or whatever it might work out to. Is that about what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's the gist of it.
That's the gist of it. Well, we had a case, there was a case in Amarillo that we reported on where a NORML legal committee attorney, Jeff Blackburn, managed to get a man off of possession charges. He was an AIDS patient, and he got him off possession charges. The jury came back in 11 minutes to acquit the guy. Basically, it was a kind of an affirmative defense argument. So is there support among just your rank-and-file Texans, average Texans, for this medical marijuana bill?
Actually, there is. There's a lot of support in the general public for something like this, and the last poll that I saw that was done of potential voters in Texas, which is admittedly an old poll, I think it was done in 2007, but it found that about 3/4 of the people polled in Texas agreed that patients should be free to use marijuana if it helps with a medical condition. Now, that being said, people that are involved with our community is in terms of activism, obviously a lot of people aren't happy with what this bill says and does, but the fact of the matter is, and I try to hammer this home to people, we tried to get more. We tried to get a better bill than this, and this is what the representatives introduced. Yeah. So we have to support it. There's only one way to get laws like this passed in Texas, and that is through the legislature.
Yep.
So, we can do everything that we can possibly do leading up to a legislative session, everything from actually authoring the bill ourselves with lawyers like Cliff at Waco NORML had a hand in doing, and bringing it to legislators and putting it on their desk and saying, look, this is a great bill that's modeled after this state. It works for that state, yada, 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 but if the legislator takes a look at it and says, well, I don't like that, I'm going to scrap that and introduce this, there's nothing we can do about that. So we just need to put the support behind this, even though it is a baby step. Baby steps are steps forward. So that's what we're aiming for, is steps forward.
Yeah, I think you're aiming in the right way too, Josh. You've got it exactly right. You don't have the benefit of citizen initiative, and you do have to go through probably one of the more conservative states, and I think you're doing the right thing. Both Texas NORML at texasnormal.org. We got other chapters, Dallas Fort Worth, dfwnormal.org, NORML of Waco. You can find them normalwacoinc.org, and at the university level, Texas State, University of Texas San Antonio, and University of North Texas. If you're listening in Texas and you want to get a NORML chapter started, send me an email at stash@normal.org. I'll help you do that. Josh, before we let you go, I wanted to give you a chance to tell folks about events that you might be having coming up here in the spring or summer for Texas NORML, or anything else you wanted to leave them with.
Sure, absolutely. We have a lot of events coming up. First off, during South by Southwest, the music festival that's here in town in March. High Times is going to be in town. We're going to be doing the High Times Doobie Awards with them. Danny Danko is going to be here. And also Robert Platshorn is going to be in town during South by. He's doing the world premiere for the Square Grouper movie at the South by Southwest Movie Festival. After that, in April, on April 22nd, I know this is going to be during the national conference, but we had planned this ahead of the time. On April 22nd, we're doing a Go Green with Texas NORML Earth Day mixer. We're going to have 18 bands there, several comedians, several poets and slam poets. And then our big news event is going to be on Saturday, May 7th at the Texas State Capitol. We're doing a march and a rally at the State Capitol. We're bringing Gary Johnson, the former New Mexico governor, in to be the keynote speaker there. And, of course, I believe you're also going to be in town for that.
I'll be there. It's my second time in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I promise you. Gary's going to be here. You're going to be here. Greta Gaines is going to be in town. Chief Greenbutt from Nashville is going to be in town.
Oh, good.
So that's going to be a great weekend event, and we're going to have an after party that night at Momo's Club, our favorite place downtown. So if you can, bring your bass and you can play with Chief Greenbutt.
I was going to say, I didn't know Chief was going to be there. I'm going to have to bring my bass now. All right. Well, Josh Schimberg for Texas NORML, thanks for joining us. And folks, don't forget the decrim hearing is tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Austin time. And I'll tell you what, if I can find the web stream, Josh, maybe you can email it to me. I'll stream it here on our NORML Show Live channel as well.
Awesome. Yeah, there is a web stream, so I'll send that to you as well.
All right. Thanks, folks. When we come back, we're going to speak with Chris J. from South Africa. We're right back after this.
Sir, do you think there will or should come a time for us to discuss the possibility of legalization, regulation, and control of all drugs, thereby doing away with the violent criminal market as well as a major source of funding for international terrorism? Thank you so much for your time, Mr. President.
Well, I think this is an entirely legitimate topic for debate.
Name the time and place, Mr. President. At NORML, we've been prepping for this debate for 40 years. It's tough talking to kids about marijuana, especially if you might be a parent who dabbled a time or two in your youth. So to help you out, get your copy of Dr. Mitch Earlywine's latest book, A Parent's Guide to Marijuana. Dr. Earlywine is an associate professor of psychology at the State University of New York at Albany and an expert on the studies concerning marijuana, its effect on health and society, and the methodology behind the statistics. He is a frequent guest here on our daily audio stash. Dr. Earlywine lays it all out without the propaganda and scare tactics that parents know won't work with teenagers. He presents a rational understanding of cannabis, what it is and what it isn't, and why kids shouldn't be using marijuana. You can order today through Amazon.com or check our links at our blog, stash.norml.org.
You want to legalize it? Call your congressman today. 202-224-3121. It's free, it's easy, and you don't even have to give your name, just your zip code, and they'll hook you up to your congressman. Call 202-224-3121 and tell Congress you support marijuana legalization.
Liberate your mind. Liberate your mind. Liberate your mind.
NORML, unlike any other marijuana or drug reform organization, is built from the ground up by grassroots activists. We are the Marijuana Smokers Lobby, and we aren't just anti-prohibition, we're pro-marijuana. Every week, we take some time to talk to the citizens of local NORML chapters across the country and around the world, as well as others who are working to make a difference in the fight to end adult marijuana prohibition. In this segment, we call Grassroots Activism.
Welcome back, folks. Now, I don't know if I can say local on this one. This chapter may be as far away as you can get from Rolla J Studios, but we're going all the way down to South Africa. Chris J is on Skype with us. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hi, Russ. Thanks very much for having me on the show.
And good evening to you. I understand it's probably pretty late your time, so I appreciate you making the sacrifice.
Only a pleasure. It's not too late, chat. It's about 12 o'clock in the evening, eh?
Oh, not too bad. All right. Well, of course, the story that we have is not a good one to be bringing to people, although I think it is probably good that we have a normal chapter in South Africa, and it's good that people know about that. And we'll get the website here in just a second, but let's get right to the story. We have a picture up on our web screen of this gentleman, Peter Charles Freeman Miller, with his cute dog, too, by the way. And tell folks the story of Peter and what's going on there in South Africa.
Well, simply, and I'll give you the basic breakdown because I know we've got a little bit of time, but about 2 weeks ago, Friday, police generally do raids, etc., before the weekend so that they can put people in prison over the weekend. He was arrested late Friday afternoon. They confiscated the plants. It was about 4 plants. They estimated about 30,000 rands worth of plants were confiscated, as well as possession of dagga, which is our local name for cannabis marijuana. He was held in the cells for 3 nights. He was taken to court on the Monday morning, and basically the way he fought the case, which you can get more details on the local NORML chapter site, he was released and the case was dismissed. 2 days thereafter, Peter Miller went missing under very suspicious circumstances, where a friend went over to his house at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. The keys were in the house, the door was wide open, his beanie was lying on the stoop. Peter's a very respected man, an adult, a father and a husband. This is not his usual behavior. And since then, the 23rd of February, we've heard absolutely no word from Peter Miller. And sadly, I mean, there's a lot of information going around online. It hasn't really reached our media locally here, but during this week we've sent out a few press releases. However, NORML South Africa has not sent out an official statement as yet, but we will be doing it in the next couple of days. And the search is on. I mean, we will find Peter and we will get more information about this.
Yeah, this is kind of suspicious that he's released on a Monday, and of course, the South African government, they don't look kindly on what you guys are trying to do they?
They do not. They do not. The police especially. However, on the other hand, I saw Peter at in court on Monday when he was released, and he had converted a lot of police officers. I mean, they really call it dagga. They don't understand it. Just like in the rest of the world, there's been huge amounts of propaganda thrown at it. People think it's the gateway drug. People think it's for stoners, losers, etc. And he converted quite a few people with his. I mean, he's quite an inspiring man to listen to. He knows a lot about cannabis. And he converted quite a few people, including the police officers themselves.
You know, he sounds a lot to me like our legendary Jack Herer, as far as, would you call him the Jack Herer of South Africa?
I think that's quite a bold statement. Peter, yes. I mean, he's a person a lot of people have gone to and spoken to. He opens his arms to people. He talks about spirituality. He speaks about cannabis. You know, he's that type of person. I wouldn't go as far as calling him the Jack Hero of South Africa, but he's close enough. He's done a lot for the cause. He's spoken. He's outspoken. And he's honest about the plant, you know?
Maybe I overreached. Maybe we should say, if you were going to personalize one person in South Africa that would represent, you know, to anyone what dagga was.
Yeah. I personally don't think you can compare Jack Hero to anyone.
That's true. Yeah, having known Jack quite a while, that's definitely a true statement. But as far as just being an icon in the South African community, as far as doing the cannabis.
Definitely. He's definitely an icon. He's definitely someone that a lot of people have looked up to. He's inspired a lot of people. He's told the truth to a lot of people. And he's helped a lot of people, you know. I mean, Peter, I think it was only about 4 years ago did he find cannabis. I mean, he comes from a military background. He comes from a programming background, from a different type of society. And with regards to medical conditions and all of that, cannabis has helped him and assisted him a lot. I mean, he's reduced his medical bills. He had opened himself spiritually. So it did a lot for him. And that's what he wanted to spread the word about, that the misinformation must go.
Yes. We're speaking with Chris J. from NORML South Africa, and I wanted to give you a chance to give people the Facebook, the website, and any NORML South Africa info for contact if they can help out.
Fantastic. Well, basically, the local NORML chapter is www.normal.org.za, and there's been a website set up dedicated to Peter Miller, and that is www.missinggreenactivist.co.za. Can I repeat that? missinggreenactivist.co.za. Something interesting regarding NORML South Africa, we are a little bit different to the rest of the chapters around the world. We did request from NORML's head office that we personalize our name. We stand for the National Organization for Reform of Matekwane Laws, that being the Sotho word for cannabis.
Yeah, that's excellent. And for those of you who don't pick up on the different pronunciation, normal.org.za, or ZA as it's said in South Africa.
.za, that's correct. Sorry, yes, .za. .org.za.
That's right. Normal.org.za, you'll get all the information on Peter Charles Freeman Miller, missing for 5 days now under suspicious circumstances. And on one of the releases, I can't remember if it was the Facebook or the website, you mentioned that it might have been that there's concerns that organized crime might have been involved. Explain that theory.
Peter, just before he left, the first night after his court case, he spent a lot of time processing this information by himself through meditation at home around his wife. His wife, after speaking with his wife, she said that he was very quiet on the first evening. On the second evening, he opened up to her and spoke a lot about the past, the future, and all of that. Also mentioning that he believes organized crime is somehow after him, involved with this somehow. It's just a very short topic and all of that. But there's a lot of stories floating around. There's a lot of things being said that it could be our local government kidnapping him, could be organized crime, it could be the police force, it could be a hijacking, it could be just general robbers, it could be Peter taking a walkabout. I mean, there's a lot of stories going around, and really we just got to get to the bottom of it rather than creating stories.
Absolutely. And just for general information, what is the state of South Africa's marijuana, cannabis, daga laws as far as medical, spiritual, or recreational use?
Russ, can I correct you there? Daga, not daga.
Daga? Gotcha.
Yeah,
Daga.
Perfect. That's perfect. Daga. That's correct.
No, that's just my cold, I'm afraid.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sitting on the other side. I've got a bit of a cold as well. The daga laws here are terrible. I mean, I think they're based from United Nations from years ago, from that whole Harry J. Anslinger. They were updated in 92, I think. You get caught with possession. There's a lot of things that can happen. I mean, it's not really totally understood, but you can get I think a misdemeanor or admission of guilt and pay a small fine for possession. However, over about 100 grams in pounds, or I think that's about 3 ounces. You would be transferred into a dealing status. The interesting thing with Peter Miller's case was he was caught with 2 enormous African sativas in his greenhouse, plus about, I mean, these things must stretch over about 6 yards. These long plants. They estimated that the value of this, I think I said already, was about $1,000 US to $2,000 worth, and this is the case that he broke free of and got away with. That was dismissed. So that's an exciting step in the courts.
Yeah.
The laws are terrible here. They are being challenged, though, and that's the exciting thing, Russ. Currently now, a lot of laws are being challenged here by a lot of people that have been caught with possession. A lot of people are pleading not guilty. So I think in the up and coming months, you're going to see a lot of interesting stories coming from South Africa.
I am looking forward to it, Chris. And I'm wondering if you can stay on the line with us for just a little bit longer. We have to wrap up our first hour, but I have a few more questions for you. Can you stay with us till after the top?
I say one thing, just about someone that a dear person that I've made contact with in your hometown over there in the States. I'd just like to send a shout out to him if possible.
Sure.
Russ?
Go ahead.
Okay. Joseph Petri, King of Nepal, recently made contact with me. He's been a huge inspiration to only a few people so far. His books are being spread here. They are absolute wonderful read, not just the history behind his own journey in life in the hashish and cream roots and all of that, but really inspiring all of us around the world. And thank him.
All right. Well, shout outs to Joe there for you. And we'll be back with you at the top of the hour. Thanks for holding with us, Chris. For everyone else listening to us on the podcast, thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with more great interviews, news that you can use for the cannabis community. For Ganja John and Cannabis Carrie, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is NORML Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.
Take it out one more time. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it.